What's up?
I was just asking if Mary was on.
Oh. Let's see. Someone do you want me to give her a call? Do we know where
Yeah.
status is?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we need to start.
Yeah, let me give her a call, see what's going on.
I don't know why he was there 3 months when I don't. So.
Joe, can you please send her another link to her email?
Yes.
Okay, and I have her on with me so she can update me as we go.
Okay, just hold on 1 second. Sent.
Joe, she said that it's telling her there's another Zoom meeting in progress when she clicks that link.
That's
I
the
don't know.
same. That's the same link I sent Cheryl. Cheryl Sack, where's Cheryl Sack? Are you on?
I'm here.
That link, did that work for you?
No, it's not. It just spins and says it has another meeting in progress.
Amy, have her shut Zoom down all the way, close out, and log back in.
Did you hear him?
Yep.
Okay, do that. Let me know.
Hang on.
That should work. It's the same link I sent Cheryl, and Cheryl got on okay.
Yeah, I did. It worked for me. I'm wondering if I need to log out so she can log in.
No, it's one link, Cheryl, goes to everybody. You just copy the invitation and paste it.
Okay.
I think she needs to log out and log back in.
Okay.
She may have a meeting left in her history or archive that's conflicting.
How's it looking, Mary? I'm here. You there? It's connecting? All right, so
Sometimes it reverts back to an old meeting in Zoom. So they still had her.
I'm gonna hang up, Mary. Okay, bye. Sorry about that interference. Are you in, Mary?
Amy, did she say that was working? No.
Well, I heard you in her phone, so that's why I hung up.
Excuse me, Dr. Peck, there's also the option for her to call in as well, if that's possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna send her another email.
I'm asking her status. I'm telling her she can call in if she needs to.
I wonder if she tries putting in the code manually, maybe that might work.
I gave her the code, and when she was putting it in, it was spinning and not allowing it. So I don't know. I don't know. Shoot. I got off too soon.
I'm here.
Yay! Okay.
I could hear you. You just couldn't hear me. But I'm here.
All right, welcome. All right, are
Let
we
the
all
show
here?
begin.
All right, very good. Okay, hello. This is Amy O'Brien, Chenango Forks Board of Education. Welcome. Will the clerk please do roll call?
Okay. Amy O'Brien,
Here.
Spiros Tomatoes,
Spiros, you're muted.
Sorry, here.
Mary Collins,
Here.
Michael
Hi, Amy.
Vavra,
Here.
and Lynn Lockwood.
Here.
Okay, thank you.
We have a quorum. I call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. (1.3) Public comment.
Okay, the public wishing to speak to the Board of Education will be allowed this period of
Hello?
time to
Hello?
do so under the following guidelines. Hello, you're on.
Hi, is it time for public comment yet?
Yep, we're just getting into it, so just 1 minute.
Super, thank you.
Speakers will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes and the entire public comment session to a maximum of 30 minutes. Speakers are requested to state their name, address, and topic. Speakers will not be allowed to personally attack any board member, administrator, or any of the public present. Also, no comments by the speakers will be permitted that deal with executive session subjects, such as individual personnel matters, discipline issues pertaining to specific individuals, including students, and speakers will not be allowed to read letters. I'd also like to request, since we're saving a transcript of this, that every time you do speak, you state your name. Thank you.
Okay, our first speaker. Who do we have, Joe?
Okay. Yes, hello. My name is John Bruce, B-R-U-C-E. I live on 21 Vandermark Drive, Port Crane. Sorry I had to call in, but I couldn't get my computer to work. The link wouldn't work. I have a concern. Yesterday morning, there was a call to the WNBF radio talk show, and the caller, his name was Vic from Chenango Forks, stated that at tonight's board meeting, they were going to be a vote on a raise for administrators. This was what he said, a very large raise. I believe he said $5,000. I just like to state my opinion here that the optics of this looks very bad in regards to the current state of our economy, high unemployment, job loss, possible business failures. And I heard this morning that there might be a possible reduction in state aid to the schools. Also, I think with this economy thing, it's going to be very, very hard for people to pay their school taxes in September. I know a lot of senior citizens that are my friends are struggling for that. So I just would like to urge the board in these bad economic times to be as fiscally conservative as possible. And I thank you for giving me time to call.
Thank you.
There are two people with their hands raised. Nicole D'Amatos, you have your hand raised.
Can you hear me? Oh, perfect. Thank you. My name is Nicole D'Amatos. I live at 1206 River Road. And I want to talk just really briefly about what happened last time there were budget cuts. It was 10 years ago. And we're facing that same situation in 2020 that we faced in 2010. So let me tell you about 10 years ago. My son, Nick, didn't get to take 7th grade foreign language. So as a result, he didn't get to take as many college credits as he should have. My daughter, Alex, didn't get to take 6th grade art, and she had waited her whole life to get to take 6th grade art because she loves art, and they cut art. And my daughter, Daisy's whole class didn't get the chance to get extra reading help because not just her, but all the kids in the elementary school lost reading because reading programs got eliminated when we cut our reading department. And 10 years ago, I was one of the teachers who got laid off during budget cuts. So since I was cut from 2 departments, let me tell you what happened to the English department and the world language department. It was really hard. I don't know who's getting laid off this time because they haven't put the names out of the staff members who may be cut. But this is what's going to happen if the cuts come from my departments like they did 10 years ago. If we cut a French teacher, we've doomed the program. I can't teach 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, and 12th grade French. That's going to mean that we're only going to have one language at Chenango Forks. We're a blue ribbon school. We can't only offer one language. If we cut an English teacher, our class sizes are going to go up dramatically. 2 times in my career, I've taught 150 students. That's a lot of kids. If our class sizes go up to 30 kids a class, we're not going to be able to offer the level of writing instruction that we do right now because it's just not possible. There's not enough time in the day. So our writing instruction is going to suffer. So that's what happened in my department last time. And I can only speak to my own department and my own children. But I have to ask you that as you're making decisions that are going to impact everyone during this difficult time, please don't forget that when staff is cut, our children are the ones who pay that price. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Edwards, I'm not sure which, it just said Edwards raised hand.
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my name's Rebecca Edwards. I'm an employee at CFE. I live at 34 Pleasant Valley Road in Port Crane, and I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I would like to speak to the retiree health insurance change and the budget. It seems really unfortunate that this retiree healthcare change is being pursued in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic. It feels like everything else in the state is on pause and we're rushing through changing retiree healthcare. I realize that we're trying to address a pre-coronavirus budget deficit of just over $1 million, but how have we arrived to the point of either changing retiree healthcare or cutting staff? Every March, the board is given a presentation of the overall financial situation of the district for the current year and the district's financial outlook for the future. Every year, these presentations raise the concern of long-term sustainability related to the budget. I just don't understand how the deficit wasn't acknowledged and prepared for sooner, so cuts and retiree healthcare changes could be avoided. It's been clear year after year that state aid increases have not been keeping up with district expenses. For a school district of this size, $1 million deficit just doesn't show up out of nowhere. Where was the planning and the informed decision making, and how are we going to make sure that sound financial decisions are going to be made in the future to prevent another situation like the one we're currently experiencing? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rebecca.
2 more people have their hands raised. I can't see who they are. Let me go through. Galaxy Tab A has a hand raised.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name's Vic Furman. I'm from Chenango Forks. I was the one that called in the Bob Joseph show. And I'd like to know how you can justify a one-time $5,000 stipend in these times when we're facing coronavirus. And these people that are getting them are in administration who already make over $100,000 a year, from what I understand. So how do you justify taking taxpayer money and giving it out to administrators without the taxpayer having a referendum on it? Did you hear me?
Does anyone wish to speak to this? Are we individually answering? Are we listening to everyone right now? I'm talking to the whole board as a whole. What are we doing with our comments right now? Where are we, guys?
Can Joe or Mark speak about the budget?
It is under the superintendent's report. Mark is going to give a budget update, Lynn.
In response to Rebecca's question about how we got where we're at?
Absolutely.
No response to my question?
It will be responded to, sir. That's coming up under the superintendent's report. Right now, we're just, if I'm understanding it correctly, we're hearing everybody's concerns and comments, and then we will address. Board, is this correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Furman.
Christine Webb, I see your hands up.
Hi, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I just want to say thank you again very much. I see all the great things you guys are doing right from my backyard with regard to the food distribution. I want to thank the principals of the high school and the elementary school for making those personal calls out and schoology visits. I can't speak about middle school. I don't have a middle schooler. I did write a letter to the board with regard to the stipend on the agenda, which it looked like somebody did pay attention to it because it was the attached table that articulated all the different things that you guys were doing, which I appreciate tremendously. So with that being said, I kind of echo the same things the other two people were speaking about with regard to the $5,000. First of all, is it a stipend? Is it a bonus? Is it a raise? Because if you're taking on this extra work, are you going to continue taking on that extra work? So we need to know if this is a raise, stipend, bonus, etc. So that needs to be defined really clear. Also, it's partial years, so does that mean it's going to be more? If it is a bonus or a raise, is it going to be more for a continual year? Second thing I'd like to mention is that I'm disappointed in the timing on this, as probably everybody else is. I think that we have an opportunity here to make some huge changes. Again, you did take on some huge financial support of our teacher aides, which I did commend you on, but I do think that raising the fees of our already highest paid when you're talking about cutting 13 to 17 new people. I know Nicole mentioned having more students. Are you going to give bonuses for teachers who are taking on more students? No, as salaried professionals, and I am fighting this too as I'm flipping 5 classrooms online, which I am not being paid for my additional time and energies either, which is okay because that's what teachers do when the going gets rough. So I just wanted to make sure that we're really clear that these are salaried professionals, amazing salaried professionals for the most part, and that's not the purpose. The purpose right now is the timing. I think it's really inappropriate, and I know it was proposed in January when it was less of a COVID issue, but as well as $1 million deficit, loss of reduction of aides, 13 to 17 staff members proposed cut, as well as we think there could be cut in aides, state aid. So we really need to kind of think this through before even how many administrators are we talking about? And again, bonus and stipend points. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, JMJ iPhone XR has a hand up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Jeff Jacobs, Howard Drive, Binghamton, 13901. Again, echoing the themes from the other speakers, certainly concerned about the budget proposal and the impact to the teachers that was presented, a few weeks back, and then further concerned by the proposed stipend. Certainly from a stipend perspective, I can appreciate we're all working harder now than we likely ever have before. And I guess that would also include the teachers. I know a lot of teachers are putting in fact, more hours now than they were prior to this, as are the administrators. So I don't think it looks great acknowledging all the extra effort that is being put in by the administrators. I don't think it looks great to provide the administrators that stipend, while on the same hand in the budget presented, you're looking to remove that many teachers, nor are you looking to, I guess, acknowledge staff contributions and extra work that are occurring right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Looks like Nancy Wildhonor is next. Joe, do you see that?
I'm not. I have 5 screens. I'm television.
Oh, okay.
Nancy, there you are.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
A couple of things, and I hope you're writing this down and you can answer them later on. First of all, I was looking at the documents that are going to be presented at tonight's meeting, and I noticed on the financial dashboard, there's a very nice graph there that showed that revenue exceeded expenses by $300,000. That was February 2020, so I'm kind of wondering what happened there. Secondly, I'm wondering about what the district is currently saving by not being in session, and for the foreseeable future could not be in session for another month. So I would think that that would be saving the district some money regarding busing, field trip cancellations, sporting events, sporting buses, and building usage. So have you looked into savings there from the pandemic? And besides the health insurance issue and cutting teachers, what are you exploring to do to save money in the budget? And I'm also concerned about the stipend for the administrators. As a former department chair and fine arts department member for years and years, we were particularly hit hard whenever there were budget and teacher cuts mentioned, and often asked to do more with less. And I think in this case, the administrators could do more with less as well. And finally, regarding buying the buses, I noticed that $500,000 is on the table for buying some new school buses. And isn't that something that could be put off to another time? And what would be the cost of that to the taxpayers? And I believe that was it. I am not a fan of having to deal with this situation. I think the health insurance companies are going to be stressed, and making these changes with a whole district full of people into an otherwise confusing system as a result of the pandemic, it's just going to make things harder for everybody. So I would think, I was also curious when the last contract was negotiated, and I would hope that the teachers consider that opening the contract might not be in their best interest at this point to try and balance the budget. And I would like to assure them that there is life outside of Chenango Forks if you did get laid off, although no one likes to face that possibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Samsung SM has a hand up.
5 callers against the stipend so far.
I'm sorry, what is your name?
You hear me?
Yes, what is your name, sir? I don't hear anything.
Okay, Samsung SM has his hand up. He's unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Eric Daniels, 18 Marion Terrace, Binghamton, New York. I just wanted to say that with these stipends or whatever it is that you're giving to the admin, if these so-called cuts happen with the teacher staff, I believe that that money should be, that the money which is taken from the teachers that are cut should be divvied up evenly amongst the teachers that are there now. It's only fair. They're going to be taking on bigger classrooms, twice the workload, such and such. And I also had another question. Yesterday on the top practice fields, there was like probably at least 40 grown adults up there, all in some kind of gray uniforms or gym wear or something. How is it that our children are looked down upon for going over there and having group contact, but yet an association or whatever it is of 40 or more grown adult people can attend over there and there's no concern with that? That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amy, if you don't mind, that's not on the agenda anywhere. I can address that because it's
Okay.
not addressed in the agenda.
As long as we're going through each one of these and addressing them before we.
I think most of them will be addressed in the agenda, but Mr. Daniels, this is not in the agenda. That was a local law enforcement agency that showed up and used our campus. We had no knowledge they were going to do it. And once we found out they were out there, we asked them to leave.
Okay, thank you.
They showed up without any knowledge of anyone in the district. And when we found out they were out there, they were asked to leave.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
I'm looking for hands.
I don't see anyone else.
Linda Roby has a hand up. Linda,
Okay.
let me find you. Hold on. Linda, can you just unmute yourself? I can't find you. Okay, I got you.
Go ahead, Linda. Oh, she's muted again.
Am I back on?
Yes, hi, Linda.
Hi. Did somebody mute me?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Linda. I was trying to unmute you, and I think you unmuted yourself at the same time. So in turn, I muted you.
Linda Roby, 130 Port Road. It does not seem ethical to switch health insurance for retirees during a health crisis. Many retirees have written letters, appealed to the board, but it doesn't feel like it makes a difference. We're anxious about the coronavirus for ourselves, for our families. Many of our families are on the front line regarding the virus. You should not be adding undue stress and looking to balance the budget on the backs of your retirees. I know Chenango Valley didn't do that to their retirees, and if we want to look at something, we could take our time, not do it now. It is just an unbelievably bad time to even be considering this, and we've appealed to the board, and I don't know where that's going, but it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. And I understand layoffs. I was laid off in 2011. That's not fun either, but it's not up to the retirees to make a change now. It just does not seem ethical. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe Kim Rusnick had her hand up. Let's see.
Kim, you're unmuted.
I was debating whether or not to speak, but I will say that I give accolades to both the district staff, I guess I would say faculty as well, and the administration for going out of their way and doing the right thing and making sure that the students are provided with education, support, and food. At the same time, I would like to add a bit about the stipend, which I know is not born of this COVID-19 era, but prior to that, looking over the titles that these administrators had assumed, it appears to me that these are titles that the districts all have and that are divvied up among administrators. I know that they require extra work. However, I don't believe that they require extra funding, as administrators go into the job not necessarily knowing exactly what titles they have. So I would implore you to look at that, and as teachers have to assume new classes when they become they have greater loads because of cuts in the districts, administrators would have to do the same. And that was spoken of a few years ago when justification was given for the administrator cuts, saying that they needed to save money and that the jobs would be absorbed by others. So thank you for your time and thank you for your efforts serving our school.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone else for public comment. Now, Joe, board, I'm asking you all, how do you want to do this? Do we want to address each now, go through the president's report and the superintendent's report, and then go back? What would you like to do?
I prefer to address them now.
Anyone else?
Under my report, Mark is going to give a budget update. That may address some of it.
Okay. Guys, I know it's kind of difficult when we're all doing this.
I keep pressing the wrong thing to unmute myself. I think that as long as everything gets addressed, I don't care how we do it, but maybe we should try and make it through the agenda. And then if there's things we haven't addressed at the end, we can go back and visit them.
All right, Spiros and Mike, do you want to chime in?
I agree with Lynn. I agree with Lynn. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's just my concern. All I care about is that we get each one addressed. So,
Right.
all right, let's 2.1 superintendent's report.
I'm going to go to the second. I have COVID-19 update first, but let me go right to the second one. I think that's more pressing right now from the comments. Mr. Petrino? Where are you, Mark? Can you update? There's a couple questions out there. How did we get in this situation is one of the first questions I think Rebecca Edwards asked. And start with that and take us through what the budget looks like now and why we're exactly where we are today.
Okay, so there's a few items that the reason that we're in this situation that we are. State aid, generally in the last few years, Governor Cuomo has restricted increases to 2% a year. And our tax cap is set around 2% a year. So our revenue is increasing 2% a year at the most. Our salaries and benefits, which is 60 to 65% of our budget, has increased anywhere from 3 to 8% every year. I spoke about that in our last budget meeting. So eventually, with that kind of model, your revenue is not keeping up with your majority of your expenses. So somewhere down the line, there's going to be a catch up to that. And right now, that's where we are. We also have our, even though we have our student population, which has been decreasing. Decreasing student population is one of the items that state aid is based on. It's based on your number of students. So there's a decrease in aid through that. But at the same time, our students with disabilities, our special ed programs are increasing at a greater rate. Even though our population is decreasing, that population is increasing. And those costs are very high. And we've also lost other revenue sources. Number one was we used to have BOCES in our elementary building renting classrooms. We've lost that revenue, and we've lost a few years in the middle of the decade, 16, 17, 15, 16, 17, 18, we didn't go out at the full tax cap. And a couple of these years, we went out at zero. So there was revenue loss there that you can never get back. And that carries forward every year. So that's basically why we are where we are.
Mark, referring to the BOCES, when we severed the contract with them, though, we pulled that money back in-house by keeping our kids at home, did we not?
Yes, but that's special ed costs that we pulled back in. And then, but that.
Mark, can you explain to the people we're up to 121 people. Well, why didn't we just save money every year then? If we knew this was coming, we knew it was going to be doom and gloom. We knew we were going to, why didn't we just pack money away in the bank?
Okay, the state allows you only to keep 4%. The most you can save is 4% of your next year's budget. So if we go ahead and use that money to balance the budget, then what do we do next year after we've used our savings to balance the budget? We're going to still need that. We're going to still need revenue next year because we're going to have those same expenses. So using that is not a good idea. Other savings was we used to go towards our capital project so that there would be no tax impact to the taxpayers.
We also, if you want to talk about our tax levies we've gone out at in the past too, Mark.
Right, I spoke to that. We, in two of those years, we went out at a zero tax increase. So we did increase taxes on 2 of those years, which was a loss of over $300,000 of revenue that we could have had.
And again, I think it bears in mind too, We're not the only district looking at this number this year. I had Mark look at the other districts around. And Mark, what you find out when you looked at the other districts around?
Well, the tentative budget that the governor and the legislators agreed upon is that they were going to be in a $10 billion hole. And so the tentative budget was that there would be no increase on foundation aid. With that being said, every district is now back to square one on their budgets because all the aid that they were looking at getting based on the governor's proposal in January is now taken away from them, and now everybody's got these deficits that they're dealing with.
Okay.
Can you talk to
May I
a little bit? Go ahead, Amy.
I'm just wondering if what Mark is describing includes what came out today about state aid to school districts are now projected to be frozen at this year's levels. That came out at Friday.
Yes. So in other words, that is they're freezing foundation aid to what it was last year, so there is no increase in foundation aid for the coming year.
Mm-hmm.
So our deficit is going to go from $1,040,000 to $1,150,000. And also, the governor stated that he is reserving the right to reduce aid further. He's going to look at it every quarter next year, and if revenues are not coming in where they expect them to come in, he reserves the right to reduce aid further next year. So with that being said, we projected using some reserves to balance the budget. Now we're going to take those reserves and use them in case state aid is cut again, to cover us if it's cut again. And then by taking out that item out of the budget, that puts our deficit to $1,400,000 to $1,500,000. And I don't see this as, a one-time thing. I mean, I think that we're going to be in the same situation that you were in 2008, 2009, 2010. The longer that this situation goes on, the longer it's going to take the economy to come back. And so with that being said, in the past, aid was not there. In fact, he took aid away for many years. He reduced it many years. So I think you're going to have to be prepared that, this isn't just going to be this year. It's going to be, next year after, and who knows after that. And you also got to realize that, the TRS and the ERS, which is the New York State Employees Retirement System, and the Teachers Retirement System, they're mandated to have certain rates of return, those funds. And the rate of returns comes from their investments. And the investments are based on what the economy is doing. If the economy is not doing well, those rates of returns from their investments are going to be low. So that means that the districts have to make up the difference in those rates of returns. So that means the district rates that they're going to have to contribute on behalf of the employees the percentages are going to have to increase. They're going to have to make up the difference to the state. So there's another expense that's going to increase as we go along in the future years.
Mark, can you also talk a little bit? Nancy Wildowner asked about any type of money savings we have. I mean, I know if you want to go into detail a little bit about the Bernie bus contract and what we're actually saving right now by not operating the physical plant.
Can I ask one question first?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
When you talk about foundation aid, what are you referring to? Like, what is foundation aid?
Foundation aid is like the basic aid. It's the aid because you've got all different kinds of aid. You've got textbooks aid, materials, hardware aid. You have transportation aid. You have BOCES aid. So foundation aid is everything else, and that's the biggest piece of aid. in every district.
Okay, thank you.
As far as the savings that the district might save for the rest of the year, we're continuing to pay all our employees, so there'd be no savings on the salaries and benefits side. The transportation, Bernie Bus, we're continuing to pay Bernie Bus for that contract because they are paying their drivers. So we are still required to make the payment to Bernie Bus. The savings on heat and electricity, we might have some savings on electricity. Heat, we're getting towards the spring, so the heat wouldn't have been an issue anyways. All our supplies are already bought in at the beginning of the year. So really, there's not much more savings that we would have had at this time of the year.
And I think Nancy Wildowner also mentioned the buses, why we're going out with buses.
The buses are, that's state aid. We get aid on that. We get 90% back of that aid. So the impact to the taxpayers is very minimal.
Any other budget questions while we're doing this part of the agenda for Mark that we can answer? Mark, will you just tell all 123 people on exactly what your position at the school is?
School business official.
And who do you work for? Can you kind of explain to them too who you work for?
I'm employed by BOCES, but Chenango Forks through the BOCES services, they contract for my services.
Would you explain
which they get state aid back on.
Would you also explain one more time? There's a couple questions coming in on the chat. Foundation aid.
Foundation aid. Again, that's the aid. That's basically the aid that you get from the state, other than the transportation aid, the building aid, the BOCES aid, and your expense aids such as computer hardware, computer software, textbooks. That is probably the majority of aid. Let me see if I can go in here and get you the exact number of how much foundation aid is. Let's see here. So foundation aid, for instance, state aid for Chenango Forks, roughly $20 million. 12 to $13 million of that is foundation aid. So that's the biggest chunk of aid.
Mark, can you, in your opinion, how long have you've been doing this for a long time? What could we have done differently as a district not to be in such a large of a hole? I mean, was this inevitable? Was there something we could have done 5 years ago to stop it?
Well, I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years. It's tough to say because these things just go in cycles. You have it in 2008, 2009, 2010, and then the economy picks up, state aid picks up, it gets bigger, and then you hire back what you were losing, what you lost, to get your programs back up. But then this happens, the economy happens, the expenses with the tax cap being the way it is, and then the governor's continued plan to limit his increases to 2%. So with revenues going up at only 2%, your expenses go up way more than that. I know no one wants to hear that, but we do have these contracts in place that are more than what our revenues increase is every year. And health insurance, that's a big piece. That goes up 7, 8, 10% every year. I mean, with revenues going up 2%, the school districts, this model it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable.
Did that answer the questions for the school board and anyone else? Any other budget questions?
Let's give
Mike,
those,
Amy, Lynn, Spiros, Mary?
Nope.
Yes.
oh, go ahead, Lynn.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yes, I think we answered everything.
Okay. I think so too. I just wanted to give a moment to any community members with budget questions to give them an opportunity to raise their hand if there was something additional while we're on this topic. I don't see any hands going up.
Galaxy Tab
Galaxy
A just
Tab.
raised a hand. Yep. I'm going to unmute you, sir. You're unmuted. Go ahead.
I have a question about your contracts.
And can you state your name, please?
I'm Vic Furman again.
Thank you.
I'd like to know why you can't word the contracts in case of emergencies like this, that the bus drivers go on unemployment, so you're not paying the contracts to the bus drivers when they're not working. And same with the other contracts that you have. It seems like you're just throwing money into the wind with poorly written contracts. And they are poorly written. I don't know if these are union workers or what the case might be, but it's costing the taxpayers of Chenango, in your school district, it's costing us money to have these contracts written in such a way where if there is an emergency like the COVID emergency, that we have to pay anyway. And I don't understand the statement about the heat. I mean, what's your monthly billing in the wintertime for heat? You say that it's warm out, it's in the 40s, so the heat must still be kicking on, but yet the students aren't there, so you're not kicking it on. Whether it's $100 or $500 a day, it's a savings, and this all has to be computed into this savings. There's no way we can run on a 2% cap and a 14% medical cost increase. So my other question is, what is the contribution per teacher for their health care? Everybody else I know is paying a health care contribution. I worked at IBM. We went from $0 to $280 to $700 a month in healthcare contributions. I want to know if the school teachers are paying that too, because the taxpayers, like you said yourself, you're losing students. We're losing community members. The city of Binghamton's gone from 67,000 to 42,000, and I'm sure that comes out in this area. And with all these losses, we can't keep doing business the old way, and we have to look at it with new ideas. And I think it's important that we start doing it today, not next time a budget comes up. That's all I have.
I can speak to the contracts, sir. All of our contracts are vetted through the school attorney who is on the call if she'd like to speak up. But again, we don't bring a contract in front of the school board unless it's gone through a school attorney.
Yeah, but can contracts be written in such a way where if there is a crisis, or there is something like this, I mean, unemployment's there for a reason. Why should people still be getting the paycheck when they're not working? Why should the taxpayers have to pay that fee or that employee's paycheck when they're laid off or when they should be collecting unemployment?
So this is Attorney Cheryl Sacco. We did look at the Bernie bus contract, which actually predates my firm representing the district. But a contract's a two-way negotiated document, so both sides have to agree to terms. But if both sides do agree, something like that could be included in there. But the Bernie bus is an older agreement.
These are all things that have to be mitigated. I'm sure you, as an attorney, you know that. And I just hope that going forward, we can do that kind of mitigation in all contracts, not just buses, but food contracts, everything. Because we can't sustain, like the gentleman said earlier, it's unsustainable to keep things going the way they are.
Anything else?
I'm done. You can meet me again.
Thank you. Okay. I don't see anyone else.
Let's get my agenda back up. I just have three other quick things, and then we can get on with the agenda. Just a quick COVID-19 update. The admin team and I are meeting. Obviously, a lot of us are working remotely at this point. We are meeting twice a day and various other times during the day to keep up track on COVID-19 devices. We've got the content up, and if you go to our website, I think we have a very comprehensive website, what we're doing with the community, the students, the staff. And again, if you go out to the website, I think everything with COVID-19, the update is there. Right now, the projections for April 15th, return back to school, and that's what we're looking at. Having said that, not sure that's going to be realistic. The admin team is also looking at a longer term plan if it goes beyond April 15th. As far as the capital project goes, I've been in meetings the last couple of days with people from the capital project, our construction manager, our school attorney, and our architects. We're trying to figure out what's deemed necessary and unnecessary. And I'll give the board an update about that a little bit in executive session. I'm going to call Cheryl Sacco to talk about that as well. But capital projects with the COVID-19 are also hitting a snag at this point. It's been brought up a couple times in the public comment area. The town meetings look at the retiree insurance conversion to the Medicare supplement or the Medicare Advantage plan. We've had 5 of those so far. There's another one at 7 o'clock tonight. And then there's another 3. I believe the date, I don't have it from you. I believe it's April 9th or the other 3. And again, if you go out to our webpage, all information is there for that as well.
April 8th.
April 8th.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. All right, President's report. BOE email procedures. So I imagine there's a number of people feeling they are ignored by our board when they're sending letters. We have received, I have 2 of these stacks. I've printed off, you can't see them because of my screen, but a number of emails. And in essence, you have been ignored. And the reason for that is because our board is not in agreement on how to respond. So that is why it is on my report tonight. We are going to have a discussion on the procedures of how we are going to work as a board to respond to your emails. So I apologize on behalf of our board that you have essentially been ignored. So how do we want to, I just want to hear from each member, how do we want to address receiving board emails that are directed to the Board of Education?
I think we need to at least respond that we received it and we're looking into it.
Okay.
So they know that we at least saw it and read it. And then if we can't agree on, I mean, then we have to figure out what to do from there. Do we have one person answer them?
So I had some thoughts on this. I was thinking, if an email is coming to all 5 board members, that we could have a automated response to that says, just as you said, Lynn, that it's been received, and lets them know we will be reviewing it at our next regularly scheduled meeting. Additionally, I was thinking we could also, in addition to it, email all board members, have individual emails listed. And then it's at the discretion of that board member receiving the communication to respond, because then they are only speaking for themselves.
I thought they were individually listed as well as.
Did we go back to that? I will say I have not looked, but are we back to individually listed?
I thought we had both. I thought we had individual and a button that said respond to all board members or mail all board members.
Can you speak to that, Joe?
I'm looking out
Okay.
last. Right now, I see if you go to meet the board, it does have your individuals.
It does. So we have individual and
Yep.
email the whole board.
Yeah.
The first thing on the page is please use this form for the whole board, and then it lists Spiros, Amy, Mary, Lynn, Mike in that order with your email addresses right after it.
Okay, then my second statement was pointless. Now, what do you all think about having an automated response that lets people know it has been received and the procedure we're going to take going forward with that?
An automated response is fine, but if you have individual people responding, individual board members, you just need to let the public know that they're speaking for themselves and not for the board.
Okay.
And that's the issue that you run into, because one board member has no power. We only have power as a board. So
Right.
if you're speaking independently, you're just speaking as another citizen. So
Right.
I don't know if that's a response that a taxpayer asking an individual board member their opinion or a question, they're not getting a board response, and I think that's what they're expecting. So you need to either have some sort of disclaimer or avoid it altogether.
When you say avoid it altogether, you mean avoid
Avoid,
what?
well, I'm just saying, again, we're not speaking, if one person is answering the question and you're not speaking for the board, you're speaking as an individual, you have not, there's no board power behind what you're saying.
Mhm.
So you just need to make that
Okay.
clear if you're answering something that you are not speaking for the board.
Yep. And I think we could actually even state that next to our individual emails, that if you email this board member individually, their response is just from them. And then, I don't know. I just want to make sure we're covering all bases. And
Since Cheryl is here, could we ask her opinion on that? Am I interpreting it correctly?
You're correct. This is Cheryl Sacco. You're correct. An individual board member cannot act. They don't have the authority to act on behalf of the board. So if someone does email an individual board member, the board member themselves cannot, should not be representing that they're acting on behalf of the board and really doesn't have the authority. I don't mind a disclaimer by the individual emails, and I don't mind a automated response acknowledging it. If someone does email the entire board, and some procedure that says we will be looking at this and potentially taking action if necessary at our next board meeting. And I can work with the district if they want help with that language.
Okay, and the other thing I want to bring up, we've had both kinds of email inquiries. We've had the ones that definitely require discussion among the board. We've had others, as I like to call them, that are very black and white. Two at the top of mind. One was somebody inquiring about the calendar we voted on. To me, that's a black and white answer. Two, someone asked the board a question that wasn't even a board question. It should have been channeled through building leaders. So in that case, can you speak to that, Cheryl?
Sure. So part of the problem is the board needs to trust each other and really honestly figure out how you're going to sort through these. If you really do think that you need to address every single one at the next board meeting, then my suggestion would be consistent. If you want to allow maybe the district clerk to sort them out and answer procedural, basic black and white questions, like is there a calendar, when is your next board meeting, then that would be a possibility. Or if the board wants to basically designate one person, but it's not necessarily a legal answer. It's going to be a process answer, and I don't have a good process other than to say, there's no right answer for this. Either the clerk needs to look at it, or the board needs to designate someone, or it needs to be addressed at a board meeting. It's too hard to say if it says this or it says that, because there's too many opportunities, too many contingencies.
Thank you. Okay,
You're
so
welcome.
that said, what does everyone think?
When we get letters, excuse me, when I get letters, I like to just respond with, I received it type of sentence, and I send it to all the board members.
Okay.
And Dr. Peck.
So
think
let's
it could be
go
the
with
generic-
Cheryl. Oh,
generic.
sorry,
I'm sorry,
Mike, go ahead.
Spiros, go ahead. No, Spiros, go ahead.
No, so why don't we just let Cheryl come up with the automatic, response, and basically we'll discuss whatever letters we get at the following board meeting, and that basically, it could be something along the lines of, we are not ignoring your response, but at the next board meeting, we will, address any concerns and get back to you. If it's a procedural or something, obviously Dr. Peck or, Aaron could answer it.
Okay, Mike, go ahead.
No, I was echo basically what Spiros just said, to get a little generic answer from Cheryl, and when those things come, to send out to everybody when we get those kind of letters, so people know that we're actually seeing them and receiving and hearing them.
I agree that we should have an automatic response, but at the same time, I think possibly having them wait a month is a little too long. I mean, depending on what they're asking. So I'm not 100% sure that waiting and only reviewing them at board meetings is the best thing.
What if we add in the automatic response that this is an emergency, please contact the district at a certain number?
That's helpful.
Right, Lynn, if it's a big thing that needs to be handled, I think then we'll have to do an emergency meeting then and deal with it then. But if it's kind of a question that we need to talk about as a board at our next board meeting, then that. But if it's something that seriously needs to be addressed as quickly as possible, then we would probably have to do an emergency meeting and deal with it then.
Okay.
I like the idea of Aaron being part of the receiving group and sorting through when it is very simple responses, like the examples Cheryl gave, and I'll give her the authority to respond to those with her signature below that email, so it's known where it's come from, and then those that require our attention as a whole that we can review at each meeting. Would the board be opposed to that?
No, not at all.
Well, hold on. Wait a second. So you didn't want the superintendent on the group email, but you want to put the board clerk on it.
That's correct.
I would think I would rather leave it the way we have it and just have that automatic response go out.
Okay.
We haven't, other than that one about the calendar, we haven't gotten any simple ones like that. People aren't emailing us asking when the next board meeting is. It's more stuff that Aaron can't answer, the healthcare and stuff like that. Please to, like questioning us and what we're doing, what actions we are taking, have been more what the emails are about.
It's a group decision. So is that what everyone is the majority?
Yes.
Wanting an automatic response, and we will discuss each email. Are we agreeing to discuss each email at a regular meeting? Because as you guys have seen your emails blow up over the last few weeks, we could be talking about, and fine, but we could be talking about adding 2-3 hours onto a regular meeting. So I'm just trying to be realistic of what this would look like.
If you want to address the emails, Amy, that's what we have to do.
Okay.
I mean, we could come up with one response that covers everything that we've gotten about the healthcare and send that out. It's not like we have to individually craft an individual response to everyone that emailed us.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's talk about that automatic response. What's that going to look like?
Do you think Cheryl also come up with something?
Hi, I definitely can. I'm really thinking, thank you for reaching out to the board. If this is an emergency, please call a certain number. The board will be reviewing this, and if appropriate, you will be getting a response after our next regularly scheduled board meeting.
That sounds good to me.
And of course, that'll be on the website so people understand that we're not ignoring them, and they can understand why they're getting a response like that. That's.
We can actually, if you'd like, where it shows the email to email all of the board members, it can say this email will not be responded to and immediately. If there's an emergency, please call this number. The board will review your email at the next board meeting so that they know that it is not they're not warranting or knowing that they're going to get an immediate response. That way you're not setting unrealistic expectations.
Okay. And this would be an automatic response to the email the board. People still have the opportunity to email us individually. And then we can have a disclaimer under that we are speaking for ourselves, correct? I don't like the idea of removing communication individually. We are elected by our community. If they need to reach out to us, they should be able to reach out to us. Some may feel more comfortable talking to one over another. So how can we?
So I don't know if, and I'm not an IT person, I don't know if we have an IT person from the district on this call. I would assume that the email can be set up to generate an automatic acknowledgement and a response. I don't know if we're going to be limited to so many characters, but assuming that we can draft that. If we cannot do an automatic response to that email, we can put a blurb, a bullet right on the website, right near the email address for the entire board. And we could do the same blurb about, reaching out to the individual board members does not constitute a binding response from the entire board by the individual board members' emails, if you'd like. I do not know if, Dr. Peck, is there anybody on from IT who would know if we can do an automatic response?
Shirley, you should not have an issue with that. Jamie Payne's our IT person. He's not on right now, but I'm 100% positive Jamie can facilitate that.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or discussions? Okay. All right. 4.1, are we grouping Aaron to 4.3?
I thought, I think you guys wanted to do everything separate this meeting.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. 4.1, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to amend resolution 5.6 from the regular Board of Education meeting June 8th, 2017 concerning the probationary appointment of Meredith Schmidt-Flamick to change the date of end of probationary service from June 30th, 2021 to June 30th, 2020.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Don't we have discussion?
Thank you. Discussion.
Is this just a name change thing?
No, Lynn, she wasn't given credit for her 1 year long-term subbing. So we had to go back and make the adjustment.
Okay.
Okay. Amy O'Brien,
Aye.
do we want to do a roll call for it, or are you?
Let's do a roll call for everything.
Okay. Amy O'Brien,
Aye.
Spiros Tomatos.
Aye.
Mary Collins,
Aye.
Michael Vavra,
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Okay, thank
Motion
you.
passed. 4.2, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to accept the letter of resignation from Mr. Richard Haynes as attached.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Amy O'Brien,
Aye.
Spiros Tomatos,
Aye.
Mary Collins,
Aye.
Michael Vavra,
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 4.3, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to accept the letter of intent to retire Karen Belinda effective June 30th, 2020 as attached.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Amy, I think Karen's on before. I would just like to say to Karen, thank you for the many years at CF, and you'll be deeply missed. I think she is on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion. Roll call.
Amy O'Brien,
Aye.
Spiros Tomatos,
Aye.
Mary Collins,
Aye.
Michael Vavra,
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
5.1, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the recommendations of the Committee on Preschool Special Education and Special Education, and be it resolved that the Board of Education confirms the recommended placements.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Question for Cheryl. Oh, I'm sorry, motion passed. Before we go to 5.2, Cheryl, when I read upon recommendation of the superintendent a motion, that's me making the motion and we're looking for a second. Is that correct?
No,
It's
not
not.
necessarily. No.
Okay,
no.
so I just feel like we're a little wonky. Are we doing this correct?
You are.
We are? Okay, just want to make
You
sure.
are.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Point 2, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the contract for health and welfare services for a student at Ross Corners Christian Academy as attached. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 5.3, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the field and clinical experiences memorandum of understanding as attached. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 5.4, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the Binghamton University 10-month contract for treatment and evaluation of a student as attached in executive content. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 5.5, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the middle school field trip to Washington, D.C., May 13th through May 16th as attached. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
What if are we approving this? Like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right, Lynn, what this is approval. At the last board meeting, the board gave the billing principals approval over all field trips.
Mm-hmm.
This is for just saying that you approved the field trip. So if the middle school principal, Drew Rule, does decide that this can happen, we don't have to go back and get board approval for it.
Okay.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 6.1 financial dashboard is an FYI. 6.2 district credit cards FYI. 6.3, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding a $575,000 bonds of the Chenango Forks Central School District, Broome and Chenango Counties, New York, to pay the cost of the purchase of school buses for said school district as attached. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Joe, what's this versus the bus vote we just had?
If this is after the bus vote, once you decide to buy the buses, then you have to do the bus bond resolution.
So this is just approving the bonds for the buses that were already voted on by the community?
Yes, you're approving the funding.
Okay.
Any additional discussion? Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 6.4, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the meat and cheese bid from May to August 2020 as attached. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
6.5, upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve a stipend of $5,000 for building principal / director of special education for additional administrative work for the second semester of the 2019-2020 school year. Please see attached for explanation. May I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to table this. I think this needs to be discussed in executive session since it involves personnel. And obviously we have things to discuss.
Okay, Spiros motion to table. May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Amy O'Brien. Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion tabled. Okay, 6.6. Upon recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the 2020-2021 payroll schedule as attached. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. 7.1. On the recommendation of the superintendent, a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting, March 12th, 2020, as attached. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Amy O'Brien. Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
And Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. Okay, and 8.1. A motion for consideration of executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law and the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Discussions involving proposed, pending, or current contracts. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Amy, before you go into executive session, there's a question posed by Melissa Stevens. I think the board should probably answer.
Okay.
It's in the chat. She wanted to know if you would be voting on 6.5 tonight. The motion that Spiros just mentioned to table.
Yes.
Motion to table.
I would like to. That is my intention. I only speak for myself. What is the board's intention?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
So how are we gonna facilitate that?
What we'll do is we'll go into executive. We'll have our discussion. We'll come back into open session, and we will take action.
So everyone will just stay on this meeting?
They can, we would have, how does that work, doing this remotely?
Amy, I'm not sure, since I'm starting executive session and I'm running this meeting.
Yeah.
Two meetings running simultaneously.
This is Cheryl. Do you want me to see if I can host an executive and invite everyone by email?
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna log off, check your emails, give me, does that make sense?
Yes.
They're gonna come over here.
I can't hear Cheryl, Joe. I don't know if you can do the other.
Amy, I believe she's going to log off and do a separate invite to executive session for the board members.
Very good. Is everyone okay with this?
Yeah, and then everyone else just stays on this meeting, and then we rejoin when we're
Right.
done with executive.
We leave this meeting, we go to executive, then we come back out to the same meeting.
Got it.
Dr. Peck, this is Catherine Kaczynski. Can you ask Cheryl Snacko to
Yep,
invite?
I will do that, Catherine.
Thank you.
So
Okay.
we didn't vote on that motion.
I'm sorry.
No. Did we roll call? I thought we roll called that one.
No, for executive, only Spiros did the motion. There was no second or roll call.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Is that a second, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, roll call. I'm sorry, discussion? Roll call.
Amy O'Brien.
Aye.
Spiros Tomatoes.
Aye.
Mary Collins.
Aye.
Michael Vavra.
Aye.
Lynn Lockwood.
Aye.
Motion passed. We will be back. Thank you.